Welcome to Her Fantasy Football. You can hear us on Blog Talk Radio /Her Fantasy Football and on iTunes. Make sure to subscribe to us on herfantasyfootball.com so you know what we're doing this preseason. And you can also chat with us on Twitter at Her Fantasy FB and on Facebook /Her Fantasy Football. I'm your host, Courtney Kirby.
And I'm Ashley Williams.
And I'm Brandon Marianne Lee.
Some top news stories in the NFL. Just FYI, this show is about running backs today. It's a big one. It's very important. Yeah. So hopefully you can cover most questions, dire needs. You can always go over to herfantasyfootball.com and see our rankings. We keep them up to date, and once the season starts, we'll be doing them weekly, so you can set your lineups there. But poor Geno Smith, a few days ago, he got sucker punched in the jaw, broke it, out for 6 to 10 weeks. I hear more like 10. So that stinks. All over $600.
I hear more like 30 years.
I know.
I mean,
it's like, what does this mean for Geno?
Well, allegedly he didn't get sucker punched so much as he wasn't ready to defend himself. It wasn't like he wasn't looking. The guy just didn't expect to get punched in the face.
I usually don't expect to get punched.
I don't either. Maybe I'm starting to think maybe I should be prepared at all times because I say a lot of jerk things. Sometimes I pull a Geno, and maybe I should be prepared.
Yeah. You know what the thing is that he owed him $600 for flight for an event that he said he would be at, and then he did not attend. Now, to be fair, supposedly someone that he was close to died a couple days before that in Miami, and that's what he said why he didn't go. Either way, it's a not break your jaw thing.
No.
Is that safe to say? I mean,
I don't think there is a break your jaw thing.
Yeah, but it sounds like Geno needs to also work on being likable.
As I said, it sounds like that's actually the larger problem. Because they said it was brewing, they knew it was an issue. This didn't just come out of the blue apparently, and sadly, a lot of his teammates. I mean, it's a little all over the board, but he doesn't seem well liked, and he doesn't seem to still have got that leadership role on that team. And it wasn't the uproar it would be, let's say, that if Andrew Luck got punched in the jaw. Not that would happen, but
I mean, listen, if you're not Tim Tebow, if you're not winning games, it's sometimes hard for people to respect you as a quarterback when you're not pulling your weight, per se. Sometimes a lot of people take an offense because you're playing football. You want to win that Super Bowl ring. So,
did you see the video with Lance
Briggs?
Get them there. Courtney?
No.
Lance Briggs was getting interviewed, and they're like, was there any quarterback that you wanted to punch in the face? He's like, yeah. And the guy goes to the car. He's like, Jay Cutler. He's like, oh, yeah. He's like, not Tannehill. Chad Henne. Oh, yeah, I definitely want to punch him. They listed like 10 quarterbacks. There's like Kyle Orton. No, I didn't want to punch Kyle Orton. Goes through like 5 more quarterbacks he wants to punch, and then they brought up another completely random, also not
Brian Greasy.
Brian Greasy. He's like, no, I didn't want to punch Brian Greasy either. I'm like, I love the two you didn't want to punch are two of some of the more like publicity-wise not liked quarterbacks. So it was just so fun.
Well, I think Kyle Orton's hard not to like as a human. I mean, even when he like just straight up walked out and quit the Bills, everyone was like, okay.
That's good.
Okay.
I didn't get that mad. They were like, yeah, well, he already retired with the Cowboys, so it doesn't really surprise us. I can't imagine wanting to, punch him. He looks like Dave Grohl.
No, I can see not wanting to punch Brian Greasy either. I can see that. Greasy always seemed like the nice guy. Although wasn't he the one that got in the issue of the Broncos where he fell in the driveway? Do you remember this, like back in the day?
Yeah, well, I think he and Shanahan had issues, but once again, who do you blame there? Big question.
You and the Shanahans. Love Shanahan. Moving on, the Arizona Cardinals have offered Chris Johnson a 1-year deal after reviewing the backfield in the OTAs. They do not seem super pleased with the running backs that they have right now. But CJ has not said yes yet. He's shopping around, playing hard to get, I think wanting a little bit more money from Arizona. But let's not forget, he's recovering from a bullet wound by a drive-by shooting. So there's that.
I think there's very little fantasy relevance here other than Andre Ellington needs to be drafted with some caution.
Which
I would agree.
You'd have to say he's going to have to do that every time. He was kind of leery on him last year too, so
yeah.
We'll see. Cleveland Browns coaches are considering looking at Ray Rice again allegedly. After Patine had said, of course, it's a natural question here because of Wilbert and because I was with Ray when he was a Raven rookie. Now a lot of people in Baltimore. I don't know. It just seems like Cleveland back to having way too many people in one position. It's like.
Yeah. My thing is I'm more upset about Greg Hardy still playing in the league than I am Ray Rice, to be entirely frank, because that guy doesn't think he did anything wrong.
Right.
So I guess if you're going to give Greg Hardy another chance, you've set a precedent, and you need to give Ray Rice a chance if he's eligible. But the whole point is that he wasn't very good in 2013 anyway.
Yeah.
He only went for 660 yards and 4 touchdowns, and he was the starter. It wasn't like, he was in this, possible Jeremy Hill, Giovanni Bernard issue. No, he was doing his thing, and he only has 660 yards. So, I don't think he's draftable anyway.
100% agree. All major issues aside, Greg Hardy was at least producing. I understand why. I don't understand. But the Cowboys signed him while he's producing, whereas Ray Rice was not. He has not been a productive back for a few years now. So is it really worth the team taking on not only the social implications of giving Ray Rice another chance, but also taking on a back who really hasn't proven himself to be worthy of a starting role in a couple years? Is it worth it? Is it worth it to an organization?
No. Someone will do it, maybe. I don't know. It was such a bad PR move. I don't know. I'm torn on it. As my prediction. I'm not torn on how I feel about it, but I can't decide if it's going to happen or not. You just never know with this league, I don't
think the Browns need to bring more drama into their camp. That's my vote.
But Josh McCown, tonight was the beginning of the preseason, and I'm telling you right now, value pick in 2 quarterback leagues. You heard it here, probably not first, but at least 5th or 6th.
I know, that's what we all said about him last preseason, too, with Tampa Bay, and it was a complete bust, so I don't know. Yeah. We'll see. It's still Cleveland. Steve Smith Sr. announced that he will be retiring at the end of the season. So sad. I love Triple S. I love him. I'm just, totally depressed about this.
Yeah, he'll probably be in a lot of my leagues because his ADP is at 100 right now, and he's the #1 guy in Baltimore, people.
I know.
Yeah, what's going on?
And he's going to go out with a bang. This is Steve Smith Sr. He's going to go out guns a-blazing. I'm all for it.
I like him. Love it, love it. So, as Brandon had said, we're recording Thursday night. This will be out Friday, but there's several preseason games going on today. But on Sunday, there was the Minnesota Vikings and Pittsburgh Steelers game. What did you guys get out of that? What did you see that you took away?
Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers kicker, Sean Squeezum's out. He was placed on IR after he went in for surgery for his ACL. Now, they're blaming it on the turf. They said it's really bad. And, in fact, they actually had already planned to upend all of the turf and replace it after the Hall of Fame game. And so they're ticked because they're like, well, why did you have all these NFL players playing a turf that you knew was bad and that you're replacing the next day? So it's an interesting drama. But listen, they signed Garrett Hartley. But here's the deal. Last year they succeeded on a league high 4 2-point conversions. I have a little hunch that I think they're going to do a lot more 2-point conversions now with the new kicking rules and with their starting kicker out.
Garrett Hartley. Yeah.
And it's Garrett Hartley.
Oh, man. I was so excited I was not going to have to say his name this year.
Ha 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 ha.
That's over. Dreams smashed.
How much money has that guy made for getting cut? So many
times. Awesome.
Good for him. High five.
Yeah, that's true. Good for you, buddy.
You guys can also check out our videos on YouTube. We record our podcast live. So you can hop over on YouTube and watch us. Ashley has a beautiful green background, and you look like you're in like one of the confessionals in Real World.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I sadly don't have as much drama. I mean, I could, scrounge some up if we need to.
Yeah, you really should, because it's a good shot right now for you. I really like it. Love it, love it, love it. I took away from the game back to Pittsburgh and Minnesota that Teddy Bridgewater might be using Kyle Rudolph a little bit more than we were thinking he's going to be using them, doing little dump passes. Now, granted, AP wasn't in the game, and so that's going to change the play, and some of those dump passes will be runs with AP. But, man, I'm telling you, it's, Rudolph might be better than me, be more used more, I should say, than we think. I think we have him ranked at 15th for tight ends, and he might sneak into that top 10. So
he just can't get healthy. The problem is you can't trust him for 16 games.
No, but all tight ends, unless you're Jason Witten, they all get injured.
It's true. It's really true.
Yeah. He's the man that doesn't die.
I kind of agree, though, Courtney. I actually, I took away, I thought Bridgewater's feet work looked better.
Yeah, he looked good.
He looked good. And then, again, kind of like Brandon said, Sean Sweesum. And what was interesting to me is not so much during the game, but after the game, is that it kind of brought up that hot topic issue again of the point after touchdown being moved back from the 2-yard line to the 15, which now makes it a 33-yard attempt. And that's, again, kind of spurred from the fact that the turf was in bad condition and the player safety and whatnot, which then came to the fact that people then started to re-talk about how upset they are with the new 33-yard attempt because it essentially contradicts the NFL statement of being so concerned with the player safety, because the logic behind this is that it was a gimme, right? The point after was a gimme. And now it's no longer a gimme. So those linebackers are going to be coming off the line hard. It gives tackles more of a chance to get hurt, and the kickers as well, and the placeholders. So people are not happy about that. So I thought that was really interesting, because you don't get a whole lot out of preseason games because your starters aren't playing a whole lot.
Yeah.
But it definitely kind of spurred that heated topic again. And I think we're going to get a lot of that throughout the season if there are injuries due to it.
I think so. Let's get into the show. Let's start talking about those running backs.
Woo, here we go.
Top 10 running backs. Number 1, Le'Veon Bell, Adrian Peterson, Jamal Charles, Eddie Lacy. Number 5, Marshawn Lynch, C.J. Anderson, Matt Forte, LaShawn McCoy, DeMarco Murray, and finishing up the top 10, Mr. Jeremy Hill.
Man, someone did a good job ranking those.
Yeah.
It was me. It was me. Ashley.
We all do separate rankings. Ashley has the running backs and the kickers. So if you don't like our rankings for running backs, she's the one you need to tweet.
That's right. I'm the one to yell at.
At Ashley, her FFB.
Which I'm always the one that gets yelled at, so I'm sure I'm going to get some nasty tweet.
I will just say, so let's get into it. With the success of Knile Davis last year, will the Chiefs limit the number of touches for Jamal Charles? Brandon, what do you think?
Maybe. Okay, well, in a down year, he still ended up with 1,033 rushing yards, 291 receiving yards, 14 total touchdowns. But it was a decrease. He has decreased the last 3 years. So, yeah, it might decrease again. Still, I think he's much better than a lot of these hot picks that are going later that everyone's talking about. So don't freak out. This is exactly the kind of moment that we're talking about where it's like, this is the guy who's going to be the bust. This is the guy that's going to be the bust. Listen. There are a lot of running backs that are going to bust. But they're always for random reasons. Did you think Adrian Peterson was going to be bust last year? No, you did not. No, you did not. So I think that they still need him. They still need him. But yeah, I don't think that we can. I don't think we can bank on him getting more. Right? I think it'll be there or a little below.
Well, they have a better offense in general to spread the ball, whether it's between running backs or receivers.
Which might help him.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, I don't think he's going to get less touches. I mean, Knile Davis played a lot of games, and he did incredibly well, especially when Jamal Charles was out. And they still didn't decide, to work into the workload a whole lot more than normal once Charles came back. It wasn't as if Knile Davis's role dramatically increased because he did so great while Charles was out. kind of went back to status quo. And I see that being the case again, essentially, when he does come back. Now, Davis, I do think may be in more of the actual snaps, and he may receive more of them, possibly out of the backfield, being used more in the pass game, because Andy Reid did make it very clear to him that he wanted Davis to work on improving upon his blocking, his feet, and his receiving skills, which sounds pretty clear to me that he's not going to be necessarily used as a running back. He can maybe change the pace back, but he's going to be used a bit more, swinging him out of the backfield. So I don't think he's taking running back touches.
It's so important.
So important. And he's not a great blocker, and he's a small guy. So these are the reasons that they're basically saying, if you want to be in the field more, you need to block better. You need to be able to receive better. Because you're not really going to take touches from Jamal in terms of a running back, but you are going to possibly take, be used more in a receiving play.
But I like him.
I like him too. I like Niles Davis.
I just want to put that out there.
Yeah. I love Niles Davis. I just got him in a draft last night. Can C.J. Anderson, Denver Broncos, stay healthy the entire NFL season? What do you think, Ashley?
I hope so. He's a Bronco. That's our team. I do think he's going to stay healthy. And if there is an injury, should that happen, I think he'll bounce back quickly. And my logic, which some may completely disagree with me on, is that he's lost weight and he's on a very strict diet that his trainers have him on. And if Arian Foster has taught us anything with his vegan diet and all of his crazy diets, and people have questioned throughout the years, is that he always bounces back from his injuries pretty quickly. And I hope that this would be the case for CJ if he does get hurt. I don't think he will, but he certainly is doing a good job taking care of his body before the season, which is always a good sign.
Which I heard Arian Foster's repairing already.
That's what I'm saying. It's a freaking nature.
That's freaky.
You are what you eat, people. And apparently
I'm vegan.
I am bad because I eat a lot of bad food. But you are what you eat.
You could say that. Okay, so he heals quickly, but he gets injured all the time.
Right.
So what does that mean? Okay, so.
But he had an injury that's.
Well, why don't you just not get hurt in the first place?
Well, because some injuries are lingering injuries. Like he's a growing kind of guy, which Courtney. That's not a muscle that's like a surgically repaired muscle generally. It's a healing that you wait out. It's a timing. It's not like an ACL where you go into surgery real quick, and then it's kind of like you got a new knee.
Right. Well,
they're different injuries.
I love Arian Foster. I'm not dissing Arian Foster. We're on the same learning path, but I mean.
He does get hurt a lot.
Still gets hurt all the time.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that he gets healthy fast. He still misses a game or two. But with CJ, he's not a vegan that we know of. Maybe a strict diet, but not a vegan. I don't know. The coaches say they're going to work him all the time. They're going to use him a lot. And all 3 downs. If he can be out there, he's going to be out there. That worries me. It just does. It just doesn't bode well for me. I don't like that. He's not one of those guys who can, in my opinion, they can do that. They can stay healthy and do that. So I don't know. I mean, he was out. He got injured on Saturday at practice with a bummed shoulder. I mean, he's fine. It's not a serious injury, but for some reason, C.J. Anderson's health worries me, and maybe it's just like a Denver Broncos running back situation where it's just like they always seem to get hurt.
That's true.
I still mourn over Terrell Davis. I don't know. Last year, Monte Ball goes down. It's just
they all went down.
Hellman went down.
All went down.
Maybe it's the altitude. But in fairness, with preseason, it seems like you see every single little nick that happens in a practice pop up on an injury report. And these are injuries that generally they would work through in the regular season that you probably wouldn't even really hear about. But because it's preseason, they're not going to play their guy. They're not going to push their guy in a preseason to possibly hurt him further for something that's probably minor. They're like, it's preseason. He's a starter or whatever. We'll rest him.
All right. We'll see. Cross your fingers. If he's in, he's legit. All right, we got our number 10 guy, Jeremy Hill. He's a little bit sharing the ball kind of situation. What do you think the timeshare is going to be between him and Gio Bernard?
Well, I mean, I think that the share could be a lot more than a lot of people think. But listen, they keep saying that he's going to be the bell cow, and I think he will be. But I think Giovanni Bernard's going to be a great flex. I think he'll be involved. I think he's someone that you want to keep an eye on, especially in particular matchups. I mean, if you look at his stats over the last 2 years, he averaged 687 rushing yards, 5 rushing touchdowns, 49 catches, 431 receiving yards, and a little over 2 touchdowns. So I think that what's going to happen is that the catching is going to go up and the rushing is going to go down, and that's how they're going to split the load. And so if you're in a PPR league, I think Giovanni Bernard should be weighted a little bit. I think if you are in a standard league, I think Jeremy Hill's weighted a little bit. So I think it's almost as simple as that. It's never that simple in football, but it's pretty close.
Yep, and it's Jeremy Hill's sophomore year, Eddie Lacy did really good on his sophomore year, and I don't want to compare the two because Gio Bernard is going to take more, but I think they're going to use him. What do you think, Ashley?
Yeah, similar wavelength. I would like to see the workload be about an 80-20 split in terms of the rushing.
That's what fantasy owners want.
Not incorporating the passes, but I agree with Brandon. It could honestly be more along the 65-35, maybe even 70-30 split, which is higher than most people think because, like they said, Jeremy Hill is supposed to be the guy. He's the guy. He was the 10th highest scoring running back last year, and that was all while being very much still entrenched in a committee. So they need to commit to Hill, and I think they plan to do that. So let's just hope that the moment that Hill has kind of a bit of a ho-hum game, that they don't, reject their plan, all of a sudden incorporate Giovanni in a more substantial way in terms of the committee. But I do agree with Brandon that they're still going to use him. He's still going to be on the field. They still think he's a great guy, but he's going to be used a lot more in the passing game than he is going to be used as a change of pace back.
And Cincinnati wants to run. They want to run. Now, they do have A.J. Green, which is great. Marvin Jones is back, maybe. But Tyler Eifert's back. I think that's actually going to be the biggest thing. But that's short yardage still. So they're still looking at those short yardage games. Those kind of situations. So, look and see what their personnel groupings are like. How many running backs are on the field at that time? And I think that you might be surprised.
I agree. That's good stuff. I loved Jeremy Hill last year. I'm excited for him this year, and I'm not reaching for him. If that makes any sense. All right. After relocating to new teams, who's going to have the better fantasy season, ladies? McCoy or Murray? Brandon, what do you think?
I hate the quarterback situation in Buffalo so much that I would have to go Murray regardless. But I also really just like DeMarco Murray. So I feel like there's good stuff going on there for him. And, yeah, there you go.
I also hate the quarterback situation in Buffalo, and that's why I'm picking McCoy.
Oh,
I do. I think McCoy's going to have a better year. I like that Murray's in an exciting Chip Kelly offense, but let's not forget that Chippy Chip here did not exactly use running backs all that much last season. Granted, he could change it up this year, but Chip Kelly is a wild card. You have absolutely no idea. This could be the season where he never uses his wide receivers. Or maybe he's never going to use his running backs again. Maybe the tight end will be, it'll be like the Packers where that guy doesn't exist. Tough to say with Chip Kelly. Whereas Rex Ryan, he's being bold in his predictions, and he believes that Shady could have 1,000+ yards rushing and 1,000+ yards receiving in a single season.
Who's throwing him the ball? He's crazy.
That would make him only the third running back to do that. The other two were Marshall Faulk and Roger Craig. But I believe Sexy Rex is possible because, again, you've got a really shady quarterback situation, and that is when the dump-off happens. Dump all day long. And McCoy's got great hands. He's got great hands. He's great in the open field. He can break through the tackles. He's great. Their entire offense can be based around Shady.
I totally agree, Ashley. I am with you.
Yep.
I love the fact that he has a crappy quarterback.
Love it.
Sign me up. And I'm not saying Alex Smith is crappy, but Alex Smith has a limit. He has a cap of what he can do. Andy Reid knows that. No, I know, and that's why Jamal Charles is the guy in Kansas City. He's the one. And it's just going to be the same thing in Buffalo this year. I think that they are going to use only McCoy and probably Fred Jackson's going to see a lot more too because they're just going to be running the ball, passing short passes. That's going to be the life of the Buffalo Bills. I love that. Chip Kelly keeps saying how he wants to spread the ball around.
But he runs more plays than anyone else.
Doesn't matter. He's going to spread the ball around. He's got 3 legit running backs.
You've got to admit the wild card in Chip Kelly offense, right, Brandon? I mean, come on.
No, Brandon loves Chip Kelly. She's on board with every single person on that team because of Chip Kelly.
He did not utilize LaShawn McCoy the way he should have last season.
LaShawn McCoy's carries didn't go down that much. His production did, and that's my other concern. His yards per carry went down. He just could not get it done. And I'm not saying that I dislike McCoy. I just feel like that situation is just not good. And on top of that, I feel like Rex Ryan always talks up his players. That's just part of his charm. You know, he always says, I think Revis is going to get the most interceptions of any, cornerback of all time this year. Now, he's great, but he's not going to do that. No. I just think that there's no way with that crappy quarterback situation. Who is throwing LaShawn McCoy the ball? Who?
Matt Castle.
No.
Matt Castle.
They all have stunk in camp. It's literally the worst situation in all football. And that includes the Texans, and I thought they were the worst. And that includes the guy who got a broken jaw.
Nope, it's going to work out. It's going to work out. It's going to be...
I'm passionate about how bad
when quarterbacks are bad, you run the ball.
I think they're going to score 10 points a game, and they're going to win because of their defense.
Run the ball.
All right.
All right, ladies, real quick. AP, turn 30. What's the deal? You think his production's going to go down after he hit the hump? Real fast. Brandon, what do you think?
So I think there's a chance, that we're not going to see him at all this preseason. I think it's actually a really good chance. They're probably going to pull over Zane in preseason. Yeah. So, but unfortunately, the difference is he had a year off last year. So it would be nice to see a little something, a little razzle-dazzle before you take him as your number 1 overall pick, because if you don't, you probably will not get him. So, listen, maybe... I would say, since 2010, he's only had 1 full season under his belt. So it's not just last year, it's multiple years. So now, he's had over 1,000 yards,
right.
But, so you want him anyway. But, let's just be honest. He's not always on the field. No one talks about that, but that is the truth. And if he's not always on the field and he's over 30, you just have to put your stuff together. Listen, he's a top round guy, no doubt about it. This is kind of like the Jamal Charles conversation. It's just like, don't think too much about it. But yeah, sure, are there question marks? Yeah. And this is why people hate taking running backs in the first round, and this is why a lot of people are not doing that anymore, because they feel like there's just too much risk with a lot of these guys. And they'd rather get one of these wide receivers that is going to stay healthy and feel good. Yes, there are random ones, but overall, they do stay healthy and they have pretty much the same production. So they'd rather do that because it's safer. And that is an interesting debate, and that's kind of what this whole show really is about, is like how you weigh those factors.
Ashley, what do you think?
I don't really believe in the trend, per se, that once you die over 30, could be because I'm 32, so that hurts my feelings. But
true.
I think my issue is certainly, I have an issue with it in the emergence of the past few years where it's been committee. These guys have got less miles on their wheels than the running backs back in the day that were the workhorses. Look at Forsett last year. He had a fantastic year, and he had a heck of a lot less mileage than other guys his age, and it showed. When it comes to AP, he was out last year. He has had a few injuries, which has then taken a few games off, like Brandon said. But the guy heals so freakishly fast. He's the freakish of all of them when it comes to healing.
He eats meat.
Well, that probably helps, but
it's crazy. It's crazy.
So, I think it's okay. He did get a thigh bruise in practice, but again, I wouldn't freak out. He says if this was a regular season, he'd be playing through it. It's a preseason. They're not going to. It's AP. They're not going to possibly risk it. But no, I don't think you should expect AP numbers from 5-6 years ago. But still, AP numbers are better than 97% of other running back numbers.
Yeah, he's a freak. If anybody's going to do it, it's going to be AP. So, there's risk, as Brandon said, and we've all said before. There's risks in everybody. This is, the NFL. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? So you get punched in the face by a player. You could, whatever. It doesn't. We never know. So, but I like AP. I have faith in him. Let's go ahead and get into the next round of guys. 11 through 20. We'll start it off. Justin Forsett, what a cutie pie. Like him.
Yeah.
Frank Gore, Alfred Morris, 14. Mark Ingram, Lamar Miller, Melvin Gordon, Carlos Hyde, number 18. Andre Johnson, Latavius Murray, and finishing it off the top 20, T.J. Yeldon. There's a lot of guys in here that are kind of unknown. A lot.
Yeah.
Kind of like the freaky.
A lot of
The drop-off is huge.
Yeah. A lot
The
of
drop-off
fade.
is huge. The drop-off is real, people. And this is why people do draft running backs first, because the drop-off is real. Well, let's get into the one that I think can move, be qualified up at the top 10, Justin Forsett. What do you think, guys? Is he going to have a repeat performance of last year, Brandon?
I am going to be preaching this all offseason. Mark Trestman is the offensive coordinator for Baltimore. What does this mean? This means all these people that have an ADP that's crazy town, it should be up. Take them. And one of the biggest things about that is that Matt Forte last year caught over 100 passes. Justin Forsett's not going to catch over 100 passes, just putting that out there. But I think 60 is pretty doable. If you're in a PPR league, easy peasy. He's a great pick, crazy pick.
Steal in a PPR.
He likes to run, so he's going to get those rushing yards too. So I love it. I think that, like you said, with your favorite, I actually like out of this group Lamar Miller. I think he is like standard league gold. He's the opposite of Justin Forsett, where it's like he every week is going to get points. So, this is what I'm talking about with like know your league. Know your league.
Awesome. My concern about Forsett is that he doubled his best year ever last year.
It was his first time being a starter.
Yeah, he got used.
Exactly, and that kind of worries me because it's not like he's a sophomore in the league. This is a lot of work on him. They let him go out for free agency and test the market, and they didn't take him back for a little while, and that always worries me too. It's like the Brandon Marshall trade for nothing freaks me out about drafting Brandon Marshall and letting Justin Forsett leave after the good year that he had and the kind of person that he is really kind of freaks me out. Like, do they think they wore him down?
Like, what do you not know?
In the back of my head, yeah, it's like, what do I not know, Mark Trestman?
Like that he's got turf toe and no one's telling us?
Yes, like he's going to be good for 4 games and he's done,
No.
And I hope that's not the case because I love Forsett, but...
They probably had a salary cap issue and let him go, hoping they can get him back for a little bit lower than what he wanted.
Oh, I think that's...
Does that make you feel better?
No, it makes me angry. I don't like that. It's not nice. Baltimore.
It's a business.
It's a business, but I don't like it.
The business.
But yeah, I agree. In PPR, I love them. It's going to be really good stuff, and where you can get them is great. So I agree with that. Frank Gore.
I'm laughing. Have you guys ever seen Flight of the Conchords?
Yes.
And the business socks video?
Oh, Business Time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The song. Oh, we have it on our iTunes. Yeah. It's business. It's business time. I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say it's time for business, and it's business time. Ooh.
He's like, I got my business socks on. Oh my god, I love it.
Oh, that's good.
You took out the recycling.
You know how to get me hot. Yeah,
it's amazing. It's about married couples doing it.
Ugh, you haven't checked it out.
Wearing his business socks.
I couldn't help it when I said business. When it came to Forsett, it popped up business socks in my mind.
Yeah. Carson, I still do business time.
But you know what? It's still business time for Frank Gore.
Mm-hmm.
Frank Gore.
Ooh.
Team. Let's see. He says it's the most talented team he's ever played for, even with Indy's terrible offensive line. What are your expectations for Gore, Ashley?
I've got high hopes. I love Gore. Maybe I'm alone on this, but the fact
that a little bowling ball.
The fact that Frank feels that he's with the most talented team that he's ever been on, and I would venture to guess that the Colts feel that Frank Gore is the most talented running back they've had in a very, very long time.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Carson, my husband, almost quit fantasy football because of Joseph Adai. No, literally. He's
mean,
like,
a
if that guy
die.
gets 1 yard again, I'm going to throw myself off.
Adai's a Pro Bowler compared to Trent Richardson.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Oh my God.
it's crazy. But Frank Gore, he is great. He is great. You know, I mean, he is a beast, plain and simple. And even Dwayne Allen, he's in the middle of doing some interview, and he like cuts a guy off to make note as Frank Gore walks by to talk about the fact that he's still running like he's 20 years old and that he highlighted his blocking abilities. Now, keep in mind that the guy has had 8 out of 10 seasons with 1,000+ yards. So people like to sit there and say that he's old, he's over 30, he's declining. He's not declining. He is not declining. He's had 8 out of 10 seasons of 1,000+ yards. They just didn't really utilize him last year. That was their fault. That is not Frank Gore's fault.
And he still got over 1,000 yards.
And he still got over 1,000 yards. So I'm like, what are people's problems? You know, it is crazy. And so the thing is that Gore's able to block well, which means it's going to open up the pass, and in turn that's going to open up the run, and it's just going to be magic in Indy.
Yeah, and you know what? We start next week doing matchups. So we'll be talking about what happened last week's game and then looking forward. And I cover San Francisco, and it was the most frustrating thing about covering San Francisco last year was Frank Gore. I just was so angry, so angry. It was like the only time that they won, Frank Gore had 16 or more carries. They just didn't get it, you know.
No.
So we have the exact same stats about his reaching over 1,000 yards for so many seasons. It's hilarious. So we all do our own outlines, and then we put them together, and I'm like, this is funny. Like, we probably had the same eureka moment when we looked at it, and we were like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea.
He's so quiet. He's just like quietly awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, you know, hopefully he'll score more touchdowns, though. That's what really went up and down with him. And then he doesn't do a lot of pass catching. He can do it, but San Francisco never really did that. They always want him ground and pound, ground and pound, ground and pound, ground and pound.
Right.
So I think
But
he'll
he
get a little
can
more
catch.
Yeah, maybe. And I don't know. I mean, the offensive line does scare me, but not for touchdowns. I think actually his touchdowns will go up. I think his yards might go down. I think he might be just under 1,000 yards this year, but I think he'll have more touchdowns, so I think he'll be about the same fantasy points. And he's being drafted like he's not going to get that. But I think that they're going to get down the field in the air and then have him punch it in. Those are my...
I get it. Ashley, real fast, what is your feeling about Mark Ingram?
Mark Ingram. You know, I think that he could get really close to having 1,000 yards and 10 touchdown season. CJ Spiller is there. He's in the mix. And, you know, more than likely, C.J. Spiller and Ingram are going to share the load of the extra touches that the backfield would see because of Jimmy Graham being gone, because they've got to spread that offense somewhere. So I guess my main hope is I hope they plan on using C.J. as a change of pace guy and to swing him out of the backfield in a passing game and leave, you know, the pounding of the rock to Ingram instead of trying to really do a committee. Let's use C.J. for his strength, because C.J. is great down the sideline. He's actually really good, and he's got good hands. So let's use him where he's useful, and I think if they do that, then Ingram could still have about 1,000 yards.
Do you think it's weird that no one has talked about C.J. Spiller's injury history?
He's always hurt.
No one's talking about it.
But
everyone's so excited for him in New Orleans, and I'm like, are we all talking about the same guy?
I think he's got it, but I like
out by Fred Jackson.
Yeah.
It's like people didn't notice that he was injured because they still played him, but Fred Jackson was there to pick up all the slack.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, and maybe it'll be the same way in New Orleans where Ingram will pick up all the slack and no big deal. I don't know. There's only two things I trusted coming out of the New Orleans, and it was Drew Brees and Jimmy Graham. And now that Jimmy Graham's gone, there's only one thing I trust. You can't even trust the kicker. Definitely can't trust the defense. You can't. I mean, and the backfield's always a mess. I think Mark Ingram should be the clear one guy, but
everyone's high on CJ. They're always high on CJ. That's the thing with CJ is everyone's always high on CJ, and he always disappoints. Always. The issue is whether the Saints are going to be smart enough to not force a committee here and use him for that sideline skill set that he has that could potentially, you know, have a little bit less injury-prone situation as well.
I will say if you own Mark Ingram and he's kind of in the first few weeks, hold on to him.
Hold on to him.
Wait until CJ Spiller gets hurt.
100% agree. It will happen.
Absolutely.
CJ will get hurt this season.
And it's unfortunate. I don't want to be a jerk. I just have,
But that's the odds.
I can read.
I can read. Nice. All right, Brandon, what do you think? Is Andre Ellington going to be a top 20 running back? The possible signing of Chris Johnson and the fact that the coaches are really not happy with their backfield?
I need to see a very strong preseason, and I think his coaches do too. So normally what we're going to say during preseason is we're going to talk about the matchups, and we'll talk about who kind of stood out. It's really for kind of those random people. Like we knew Andre Williams was going to be pretty good, right, because of the preseason. We saw Alan Hearns pop out of nowhere. There's certain people that you can kind of like, feel out. But for the most part, the starters are the starters, and it's fine. Yeah. Andre Ellington has to prove himself. So his coaches are, as you said, not impressed. So, I mean, listen, there's this great website. I don't know if you guys have gone there or not. It's called sportsinjurypredictor.com. And what they do is they predict whether or not people will get an injury in the season. They have him at 90%.
Oh, yeah,
for sure. They have CJ yet, do you know?
I did not have the fortitude to do that today. I'm too emotionally unstable to do that with CJ Spiller. I have to be prepared and be like, 100%. Yeah, and so anyway, they're over 75% accurate. So listen, I'm not saying that he's a no-go. Luckily, he's kind of dropped in ADP a little bit. He's not going so crazy depending on your format. But yeah, he's had hamstring issues before, which he has now. He has ankle, knee, foot, hip, and concussion histories as well. So
take Gore instead.
I would.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Gore is the most consistent running back out there. Like he just is. Like it might not be fantastic. He might not have, an 1,800-yard season, but it's consistent. And you know what you're going to get.
They're low on him. Take Gore instead of Ellington.
Ellington, I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. And I am not a strong person. So
I have dislocation problems, and it's the same.
Yeah, he scares me. So he's not my favorite. I was kind of high on him last year, and he disappointed. And I'm not going to touch that again. Nope.
Are you once bitten, twice shy?
Yes.
It's going to be a song episode, people, guys.
Is that a song? I was like, is that a phrase?
I'm once bitten, twice shy, baby.
Is that country?
No, it's like Poison or something.
Oh, that sounded very country. You have like a twang going there.
Yeah.
One of the guys from the Flex Draft said, I did this Flex Draft in Washington, D.C. Last weekend. It was really great. Thank you to Jake Seeley. I'm going to be doing it again in New Jersey, and Ashley and Courtney are coming out to New Jersey, too, at the end of the month. We'll talk about that on the next show. But this guy did an overview of, like, our personalities, like and he said that I had an accent.
Well, yeah, we get that all the time.
What's my accent?
I always get East Coast. I think it's because I'm assertive. And
yeah. He also said he thought I could kick his ass. I'm assuming in fantasy football because he doesn't know about my dislocation problems.
I was like, he does not know your shoulder issues.
But, yeah.
You throw one punch and throw your arm out.
I bonded with his wife. I mean, everything's cool, but I thought that was really funny. I was like, wow, of the two things people described of me, I have not heard those.
Well, that was not an accent. You just went straight twang on that. What is it? Once
bitten, twice shy, baby. I think it's White Snake. You guys don't know Hairband. Yes. I'm the oldest. Sorry, people.
Yes, that's what I want.
I know Hairband and rock, not Hairband and country.
I'll look it up on this bad boy.
Awesome.
I just got a notification that we're live right now.
Oh, well, there you go.
We're live. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next round of guys. Guys, 21 to 30. Started off with Joseph Randall. A lot of talk around him. A lot of talk about the next guy, Todd Gurley. I haven't heard anything about the one after that, Jonathan Stewart. We talked about C.J. Spiller a little bit. LeGarrette Blount comes in at 25. Amir Abdullah, Giovanni Bernard, Rashad Jennings, Tevin Coleman, and ending out the 30 is Joique Bell.
It's so funny you mentioned Jonathan Stewart, Courtney, because my boyfriend was talking to me today about his keeper league, and he's like, I've got the option between Jordan Matthews and Jonathan Stewart. And I'm like, why in the world would you ever keep Jonathan Stewart? That's not an option. He's like, no,
I
I
like
can't.
Jonathan Stewart.
You're crazy. Talk about another guy that gets hurt all the time.
He's my bold prediction this year.
Jordan Matthews is the obvious keeper of those two.
He is. I do agree with that.
And that's who he picked, but I was just like, Jonathan Stewart.
Yeah.
Oh, I love him. I especially love him week 1 against Jacksonville.
I got bit 5 times before I got shy of Stewart. And I
By the way,
won't
it's
do it again.
Great White. So it was like a combo of White Snake and whatever else I said.
Yeah,
Great
poison.
White.
Awesome. Fantasy owners have high expectations for Joseph Randle this year. Very high expectations. Get it? It's an offensive line. But can he come anywhere close to carrying the load that DeMarco Murray did last year? Ashley or Brandon, what do you think?
No.
No.
I can't believe that I have to keep saying this. And I can't believe the amount of injuries that the Cowboys running backs have already received. And then, he's still, Jerry Jones is still like, no, everything's fine. Don't look over here. Nothing's over here.
Gotta love Jerry.
Gotta love Jerry. They have a great offensive line, sure. And he'll be fine. But no, he's not going to put up DeMarco Murray numbers, and you shouldn't expect that from him.
Nice. Who's better at PPR option, Ashley, at running back? Mira Abdullah, CJ Spiller, or Giovanni Bernard?
Ooh. Tough.
I will say I like CJ Spiller in the Saints offense in this situation. Like I said before, I think they will use him a lot in the open field with the departure of Jimmy Graham versus more the actual running. But CJ Spiller has always been that guy that everyone was hopeful that would be a star, and he always falls short of that status. So while I do not think that he will be a star, to be very clear, I do not think CJ Spiller will be a star. I do think he will establish a better role with the Saints than he did in Buffalo, just because I think they're going to use him a bit more wisely than they did in Buffalo, because Buffalo's always been a little all over with their offense. But I do like Amir a lot as well, because he may actually end up taking that starting role, quite honestly. And Gio, again, but I think he'll be running more than receiving, so that won't help you in PPR. And Gio was going to catch a lot of passes too. So for me, it's tough between CJ and Gio, but they have minimal receivers other than like Brandon Cooks with the Saints, so they don't have a whole lot of options, whereas the Bengals do.
All right, guys, give me one sentence here. You can choose it and then give me the one sentence. Who's going to have the better season, Tevin Coleman or Devontae Freeman?
I'm staying away from both of them. # free Antone Smith.
Nice. Ashley.
I am also staying away from both of them. But if I had to choose, I'm going to go Freeman just because he's a sophomore versus a rookie, and I think when in doubt, they're going to go with the guy who's been in the system for at least 1 year.
I'm going to go Coleman. So we did not help you out with that question at
all. But we all agreed we're not going near any of them, right? So we actually did help them with this question.
Absolutely.
There was nothing sadder than that Atlanta running game last year.
It was awful. It was
awful. So I mean, I know they have new coaches, but I'm still reeling.
Stay away.
Yeah.
Stay away.
Oh, it's sad. Well, make sure you hop over to herfantasyfootball.com so you can see our full rankings. It's standard rankings, and we love doing it, and I hope you guys enjoy it and agree on them because we sometimes don't agree, as you will see. But out of the running backs that are not listed, who do you guys have an eye on? Ashley?
I like Isaiah Crowell. The Browns are a complete nightmare in the air.
See? There it goes.
So they will need to pound the ground. And plain and simple. Duke Johnson might get some love too, though. But nonetheless, they're going to need to run. We're talking lower. We're talking about these are guys that you probably haven't even drafted because we're below 30 here. So they're not even on your team. But if you're looking for somebody, potentially Isaiah Crowell for me.
Well, all the teams that I'm on, I have to draft a lot of these guys. But I don't play them, but they are on my team. So one of the guys that I would stash away to play later in the season when someone gets hurt is Denard Robinson. He's still on the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was the only guy who got over 100 yards. He did it twice in a row. And then the third week, he got over 90 yards against behind a terrible, terrible offensive line. Mm-hmm. Now, I think they've improved a little bit, not as much as we'd like, but they have improved. Yes, I think TJ Yeldon's going to get the start because I think they just kind of want a fresh start in general in the backfield. Agreed. But I do think that Denard Robinson is going to later in the season have some sort of role. It depends on how patient you can be and how deep your leagues go. But I don't think he's a terrible choice when you're making those choices where you're like, who is this guy? We've all been there. We've all been in such deep leagues that we just get a little concerned. And I think that Denard Robinson actually has some, weeks 7 through 9, he was on fire. And I think that he has some potential.
I like that. I agree with that, Brandon. I'm into that pick. Ashley, I don't necessarily agree with you, but I'm okay with it.
He's a starter. He's a starter at least. He's going to get some points week in, week out.
He is going to get some points.
Yeah. So if you at least draft a starter versus a guy that's going to have someone get hurt to come in. I agree. Like if you got the extra spot and you want to stash Denard Robinson in case Yeldon gets hurt or the rookie needs a break for a second, I agree.
Right, but Denard Robinson isn't even getting drafted. Isaiah Crowell is getting drafted as like a late round starter.
If he's not he's an RB3. He's a flex guy.
And I'm talking about like an RB5.
Yeah,
I wouldn't draft Denard Robinson. Yeah. We're just talking about 2 totally different categories.
Right.
Yes. And sometimes we have to say that though because people think that we're talking on the same, and we're not.
And Courtney's falls a little in between.
I do. I'd say mine falls right in between. Mr. Hello. I love Mr. Hello. He's found a new home in Oakland, and I like that for him. I do. And he is a PPR guy. Last year he had twice as many receiving yards as he had rushing yards. He had 42 receptions and 477 yards. And that's 10 more yards than Mr. Shane Vereen that we know as Mr. PPR guy. So I like that. And I have not been shy about my feelings towards Latavius Murray, and I like Halou. I think he's going to get a lot more action than people think he's going to. You can get him super late. You can pick him up, and I think he's going to be the man. So I'm last year he had twice as many receiving yards.
Hold on, sorry.
Okay. Brandon's watching our YouTube video. She's watching herself as she's recording. How cute is she?
No. I mistakenly pushed the wrong button. I told you I got a notification, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I pushed it.
Oh, nice.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Because I'm sorry. I'm drinking whiskey.
Every week I have to cut something out of Brandon doing some sort of weird mess up. The poor YouTubers, they have to enjoy it.
And look, I'm fuzzy again. Special effects.
Special effects. Awesome. All right, guys, who's the best handcuff in the league?
I'm not huge on handcuffs. I kind of feel like I want to get like the guy that
She's more of a whips and chain.
Yeah, more feathers, tickling.
Feathers.
No, but I think David Cobb is going to be a starter at some point in Tennessee. Sorry, Bishop Sankey.
Sad, Bishop. I love Niles Davis. We kind of talked about it at the top of the show. Ashley and I were on SiriusXM, it's the Fun House, and it was one of the questions of true or false. How much did Niles Davis play? It was at 32%. It was 30%. It was very close. I think that's quite a bit for a guy who's on a team with the number one player on the whole team. You know, like the Jamal Charles, APs, McCoys of the world, Lynches. So I like him. And, you know, Charles could go down. And Niles is the man. And he's talented. And the coaches did say that they want to give Charles more rest this season. So that means insert Niles. You know,
I like Niles Davis.
I like him. Ashley?
I had a hard one between C.J. Spiller and Mark Ingram and Amir Abdullah and Joique Bell. But I'm going to go with Amir Abdullah and Joique Bell because they historically have a committee. They finally went with Bell last year. Amir is supposed to basically supplant Bell coming up here. But what I like about them is that they do always use both in their offense, and when one goes down, that is the guy. Because sometimes you've got a guy that is used a lot, but he's not actually the handcuff. So if the main running back goes down, your guy is not actually the guy that's going to replace him. He's still just used as in his superficial role, and that's not going to be the case here. So I do think that Amir Abdullah is going to be great. Same with Joique Bell. They're both going to get points, so I think they're a fantastic handcuff as well.
Love it. Love it. All right, guys, our favorite part of the show, 2015 bold predictions for running backs. Ashley?
Going with Sexy Rexy here. Shady LaShawn McCoy becomes the third running back in history to receive 1,000+ yards in receiving and rushing. Buffalo!
Awesome.
It's bold.
Brennan just
Real bold.
smacked herself in the face like, what an idiot. I think that's what she said in
Well,
her
it's
head.
bold predictions, right?
What an, that's right. Absolutely,
Definitely.
Ashley. Absolutely. Brandon, what's yours?
Terrell Pryor will be a running back in 2016.
I'm into it. All right.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Come on. I'm into
He's
it.
just gonna make, and then he'll be a linebacker in 2017,
Why not?
and no one will bat an eye. He'll just be a starter.
This is bold.
Yeah. No, I would say that I think Shane Vereen will be a top 20 running back.
Nice.
I don't know if that's bold, though.
Not that bold.
Yeah.
No
It's
one
a
thinks he's gonna be
semi-bold.
the starting guy.
Boring.
Well, I don't think you don't need to be a top 20 to be started anyway.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest, though. Here's the thing about running backs. It usually is boring. Everyone wants to get cute and they want to talk about blah, 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 blah. It is as simple as who's going to start and how often will they run the ball.
Yes.
And I think that sometimes we try to get in our heads about this, and it's really not that crazy.
I agree.
Try
agree.
to try to save face on that, Brandon. Be bold.
Shane Vereen was
Shady. 1,000+.
Okay. He's
was
not the
bold.
starter right now. It's yeah, you're right. Yours
But I
is
think
bold.
Shane Vereen could still end up as a top 20 back without being the starter.
Depending on your league settings. Again.
Depending on how often they use them. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought he should have been last year too, but they just didn't use him the way that
Right.
they should have. So we'll see. We'll see. My bold prediction has to do with Jonathan Stewart, which I think talking about Jonathan Stewart is bold enough. But let's get into it. I think he's going to stay healthy for the whole year.
Get out of
Which
here.
he hasn't done since 2011. Yep.
I love it.
I do. I think he's going to stay healthy, and I think he's going to get over 1,000 yards, which he hasn't done. He's only done once in his career, and that was in 2009. He's going to do it, you guys.
Man.
If he didn't have the injury history, he would be like one of the better running backs in the league.
But he has the
Absolutely.
injury history. A very clear, concise injury history.
I agree.
It is up there with the 100% CJ Spiller injury.
Absolutely. This is why my prediction is bold, Ashley. It is bold.
Corny,
All
if he
right.
misses even only 2 games, I will still give you this prediction as accurate.
All right, I got a bold one for you. I do not think that there is a Dallas Cowboy running back that will end up in the top 20.
Whoa. Nice.
All right. That's better,
Nice.
Brandon. You're warming up. You're warming up.
Okay. Another one. No.
No.
I'm
No.
done.
Was it going to be Matt Castle ends up a top 15 quarterback?
Oh, if we get into other positions, I can do it. I
No,
find running
no.
backs really hard to make bold predictions because I think you know what? As I said, it's pretty set, and then there's like flares of brilliance, right? Like Denard Robinson.
Right.
Right.
All right, who has a better season? Who has a better season? Todd Gurley or Melvin Gordon? And I'm not talking about missing games, just like in general, who had the best season?
Are you talking about like?
Fantasy.
Well, but are you talking about like yards per game, yards per carry? Are you talking about
Total yards.
Fantasy
Fantasy
points.
per game?
Talking total fantasy points at the end of the season, correct?
Total fantasy points at the end of the season.
Todd Gurley.
Melvin Gordon.
You deciding
Total, I think Gordon.
I think I'm going to go Gurley.
Gurley.
What?
Yep.
They're gonna work him in, and he's got an injury history.
I know.
Supposed to be good by the start of the season.
I just heard they might be out a couple games. We'll see.
Who knows? This
That's what the
offseason-
preseason's for.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So he'll pull a
Working out
Jonathan
early.
Stewart and only be out a couple games and still be considered a full season. No problem.
No problem.
No big deal.
It's fine. Thanks for listening to our show today about the running backs. You can check out our other positions that are up on iTunes. You can look at it at Her Fantasy Football and Blog Talk Radio /Her Fantasy Football. We broke it down by quarterbacks, wide receivers, and then we have an episode with all the other guys, tight ends, kickers, defenses. They're all in there.
I like the other guys.
We love the other guys. They're our favorite. I'm really upset about the new kicking rule because I love kickers and kickers matter. So the extra point rule really upsets me. But c'est la vie. We'll see how it turns out this year. Hop over to herfantasyfootball.com and subscribe to us so you can hear what we're doing this preseason. Football is about to start for real. It's about to start to count. So make sure you're getting your drafts in order. Get all those people that you enjoy having drinks with and have a fantasy draft with them. Why not? Have another one. We did one last night with Bob Evans, and it was amazing. We had a great
Bob
time.
Evans?
I'm sorry.
Bob Evans is a mashed potato.
I know.
Which is delicious.
Delicious.
And I say that because my husband made Bob Evans mashed potatoes tonight, and we were joking about the fact that he always gets Bob Evans and Brad Evans confused, and now I just did it on air.
Awesome.
Sorry, Brad.
There's worse things to be confused with. I will say that. Because those potatoes are bomb diggity.
Absolutely. And also chat with us on Twitter at HerFantasyFB and on Facebook /HerFantasyFootball. It's awesome. Until next time, no more faking it.